Joining us now is America Report's co-host Sandra Smith and Forbes Media CEO Steve Forbes. The IQ of our table just went up dramatically. The two of you, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
This is Sandra's debut performance.
I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Awesome show.
Can we listen to House Speaker Kevin McCarthy?
Yeah,
They just passed the debt ceiling.
They should keep the billions of dollars sitting out there that has not been spent, that sat there for 2 years over COVID. You know what? That's not the president's money. That's the American hardworking taxpayer money. And we should pull it back and save them money because it wasn't spent.
Speaker McCarthy,
Yes,
this is the first big test, big vote of your speakership. Obviously, you started off in a not ideal way. How far do you think the conference has come, and what does today mean?
That's your opinion. I don't think this is the first big significant vote. I think every single week you have raised that same question with me. You raised the question whether I could even become speaker. We went 15 rounds, became speaker. Then you raised the question, could we even pass 87,000 IRS agents and yank them out, and we did it. You raised the question if we could make the Intel Committee back to the place that it should be, that people couldn't be having relationships with a Chinese spy. We did that. Then you said, could we stand up for the American public that we said in the commitment to America, that we would pass the Parents' Bill of Rights? We passed that. We said when we put forth H.R. 1, that we'd stand firm to make our energy independent in America and build our economy. We passed that. We looked and said when we watched Washington, D.C. decriminalize every form of crime, that we stood up the first time in 30 years of Congress to do that. And you all asked me the same question, what's going to happen when the Senate stops it? Well, the Senate didn't stop it, it passed it. What's going to happen when the president said beforehand, why'd you even vote on it? Because he wasn't going to sign it. He signed it. When we passed a bill to end the pandemic so we could get back to work again, you said, why even do it? The Senate's not going to take it up. The president said he's going to veto it. It's law today. So every question that you continue to raise, you guys have been wrong. You've underestimated us. But you know the one place that they haven't underestimated? The American public. Why? Because those are the people we were working for, day in and day out. And just as it took me 15 rounds to win Speaker, the one thing I have promised the American public, I will never give up on you. So what we did today was raise the debt limit, stop the wasteful Washington spending, and curb inflation, and put us on a path that we can continue. How did you do it? Yes, ma'am.
You've said you want to get to the negotiating table, so this is essentially an opening offer. But are there any areas that are red lines for you as you potentially...
Listen, I sat down with the president on February 1st. I want to pass a responsible, sensible debt ceiling that actually curbs the growth of government. Eliminate the wasteful spending. I told the president we could sit down. No parameters. The only thing I would tell him is no clean debt ceiling is going to pass the House. We can't do that to our children and grandchildren. We're at $31 trillion of debt. The CBO has said that we will pay $10.5 trillion just in interest in the next 10 years. Even though if you look at from 1940 till today, in those 83 years, we've only spent $9 trillion. We spend 17% of our taxpayers' revenue that's coming in just on paying interest. That's a waste. We can do better. The president said, well, I'm not going to talk to him until he offers a plan. Not only did we offer a plan, we passed it. So for more than 80 days, he's ignored the problem. Before more than 80 days, he's ignored the American public. He either has to negotiate now, or we're the only ones that have raised the debt limit and take our bill.
Mr. Speaker, so I'm curious as to your thoughts for a long-term solution to this issue. It seems year after year you will have to continuously raise the debt ceiling. I just spoke with Congressman Tom Cole, who suggested reforms to Medicaid and Medicare. What would you be open to in terms of a long-term solution?
I tell you, we just passed a bill that raises the debt limit, stops Washington spending, and that's the best start to start out with. And I watched the president. He's actually hurting Medicare and Social Security. For the first time in a 10-year window in any president's life, this president's going to cut Social Security and Medicare. His extreme liberal positions, this fantasy that you can just print more money and it won't cause damage, that you watched that the CBO for the first time in a 10-year window, that 3 trust funds will go insolvent. The highway, the highway and transportation, Medicare and Social Security. So automatically cuts come to us. This is what this president is doing by ignoring this problem. He is hurting America time and again.
Speaker McCarthy.
Yes.
That was House Speaker Kevin McCarthy again passing that debt ceiling bill out of the House. Sandra Smith, Steve Forbes, Duffy. Sandra, you were watching it this
Fascinating
afternoon.
to watch this play out. We had some predictions earlier in the afternoon that he had enough votes. He could only lose 4. He lost 4 indeed. It was Gates, Buck, Burchett. You mentioned Biggs. Gates was all about the work requirement. Buck and Burchett, I should mention, they've been hard-nosed no matter who's in the White House, Democrat or Republican. And Andy Biggs from Arizona, he basically equated this to driving off a cliff. The Democrats' plan, he said, is 80 miles an hour over the cliff. You know, the Republicans' plan is 60 miles an hour. So he ultimately was a no. We'll see what happens. This is ultimately pretty much a symbolic measure happening in the narrowly divided House. Goes on to the Senate, you know, not expected to advance there. But this is an important conversation that we're having in this country as everyone, as you noted at the top of your show, is living through this inflation crisis. And right now, this is a discussion about whether or not to impose massive amounts of spending or cut back. And President Biden has not been willing to have a conversation with Kevin McCarthy about that. We are at a point where we cannot sustain the level of spending that we are incurring in this country right now. It's affecting every single American citizen and taxpayer. So if they don't address it now, they're going to have to address it down the road. They're just divided on when to do it.
Or our borrowers are going to address it with us as well. Steve, Sandra brings up a good point. This is a symbolic vote, right? But it's an important symbolic vote. You heard Kevin McCarthy kind of lay out the successes of this, you know, very infant speakership, and he's been very successful. When a lot of pundits would have voted against him, he went 15 rounds to become speaker, but he's been successful with a slim majority. As you know, you follow politics, that is not easy to be successful when you have such a small majority. Kevin McCarthy passing this debt limit bill, what does this now do for the negotiations with the president?
Well, I think it demonstrates that he has good leadership over this fractious conference. Nancy Pelosi had the power of the purse, the power of the extreme left wing working with her and keeping these people in line. He did not have that on the far right on the Republican side, but he's brought them together, passed these things. So I think that it may be a symbolic vote, but it's more than that. He now goes in negotiations with President Biden with something substantive, something real, and they're not going to be able to split the conference. I think the White House hoped, hey, make this hot enough, we'll get 10 or 20, work with the Democrats and pass what we want. So it's a good day for America. And what he's asking for is so reasonable. Those crazy IRS agents harassing middle-class people, not spending the money you haven't already spent. They count that as a cut only in Washington.
Before we move on, Sandra was on air when President Biden made a flip comment about the debt ceiling. Yeah. And he said, well, Trump did it and Reagan raised the debt ceiling. And Sandra leans over and says, well, Kevin McCarthy and the Republicans are raising the debt ceiling this afternoon.
The whole thing was, well, I'll have a negotiation. I'll have a discussion with Kevin McCarthy. The president says, as long as he says that he's going to avoid default, because that would be disastrous and hold America hostage. But his plan does avoid default. That's the whole point.
What he did today, and the Republicans.
Well, I think that the point is well made. I think that the Democrats, Joe Biden specifically, thought that Kevin McCarthy was going to fail. He's going to challenge him to raise the debt limit because he didn't think he could. And McCarthy came back with Republicans in that slim majority and actually raised the debt limit. And now the ball is back in Biden's court, which I think
you have to keep asking yourself, and this is something Republicans keep asking Democrats, and they ask of the president, is there really nowhere where you can sit down at the negotiating table and say, this is where we can cut? You know, for one of the no's, Matt Gaetz, his whole thing was work requirements. This is something that Republicans have, been introducing in the conversation for quite some time. I think it was some of the green incentives for Nancy Mace that she finally came around. And Kevin McCarthy did make some changes at the 11th hour here. They said they were not going to, but he did, and he got it done.
Yep. Yeah. Biofuels. Got to throw in some biofuel credits for those fine folks in the Midwest.
One thing they should add when they actually sit down, which they eventually will, is ask Biden, spell out exactly where all the minerals from this great green stuff you want is coming from. Spell it out, and then people are going to be shocked. China. Child labor in Africa. Not good stuff.
That's right. American Federation of Teachers President Randy Weingarten on Capitol Hill today facing questions from lawmakers, and she seemed to have a hard time remembering when her union interacted with the CDC.
When was the first time you engaged with CDC in any way, shape, or form directly?
The first time
Yeah.
was when they asked us to do the Zoom. I think the first time. Look, I'm 65 years old. I don't remember
Me too.
everything anymore.
Did AFT ever provide suggested revisions to the CDC's operational strategy regarding school closures or reopenings? Did you suggest revisions to their operational strategy?
What we suggested, sir, was ideas. What happened was there was one particular edit that they accepted.
You know, Steve, Randy Weingarten can't quite remember what she told the CDC, but what shocks me as someone who was formerly in government is that you actually have the CDC, allegedly a science-based organization, taking advice from a teachers union?
And
on closures?
What does she say about Joe Biden's memory, who's 15 years older than her 65? And no, it is a disgrace. One reason why people distrust health officials right now, public health officials, is precisely politics played a huge role in closing down those schools far beyond what Japan did, what Europe did, the rest of the world was doing. They did it at the behest of the unions, shaking down school districts, taking down money at the expense of children, which is why you're seeing these great movements on education savings accounts, sweep the country, put the parents in charge, not these bureaucrats and union leaders.
She did reveal that she has Rochelle Walensky's phone number. She did not apologize to all the parents and the children whose futures she single-handedly
That's what
destroyed.
you really felt
that
watching this, right? Knowing everything that children were put through during this pandemic, you were hungry for some acknowledgement that we got a lot wrong. As a country, the CDC, Randy Weingarten. I always preface anything I say about this with, we all know and have great teachers in our lives. I know that we do, and we want to support them. And so many of them, most of them that we know, they wanted to be in the schools. They wanted those kids to be in the schools. This was the union making those decisions. And then to learn that there was this integration and working with the government and not just advising the CDC. I mean, we're learning that they were dictating policy at the government level. We should all be concerned about that. And by the way, if the bar for having a memory is 65, how does she feel about the president's re-election bid at 80 years old? He'll be 86 if he makes it all the way through the second term.
And the key is Dr. Fauci is throwing people under the bus. He had nothing to do with this disaster.
Shutdowns, school closures. He said, that wasn't me. He supported them all along,
Yes,
publicly.
he did.
Rewriting history, it's actually unbelievable. But maybe Randy Weingarten doesn't really understand parents and kids. She doesn't have children herself, because I think so many teachers are parents and they want their kids in school.
I think you can still get it.
You would hope so, but
don't run a teachers union if you don't get it or want to get it. And I just go back. I have all these memories of these kids sitting at home behind computers, and your heart breaks how long that went on. And when they did finally get in the classroom, it was behind plexiglass.
Or they're all
with
masked
masks.
up.
With masks. Crazy.
Disgraceful. Sandra and Steve, thank you both for joining us.
That's it. You got me fired
That
up.
was
now
awesome.
We have to go.
Oh, we're going to talk about
at 1.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to talk about Randy Weingarten some more and what the damage that she did to our nation's children. She's a pox, not COVID, a pox. Meantime, Leah Thomas firing back at her critics.